Well, today I'll be doing a versus video. This time we'll be comparing debut albums, and these albums are Saturate by Breaking Benjamin and the self-titled album from 3 Days Grace. So yeah, with Saturate came out in 2002, and then with 3 Days Grace that would be 2003. But let's first talk about Saturate by Breaking Benjamin. So yeah, again, their debut album, and they're working with producer Ulrich Wild, who also worked with Static X on their album Wisconsin Death Trip. But yeah, this is actually my second favorite Breaking Benjamin album. I have seen this album lower for some people, but for me, this is actually one of my favorites from the band. And you can make the argument that this is maybe the band at their most raw too, but it opens up with Wish I May, which was also in the end credits for Wrong Turn, the first one. So for those who might not know, and of course if you haven't seen that movie, definitely check it out. But Wish I May is definitely one of my favorites on the album, and I'd say also one of Breaking Benjamin's best album openers too. Then you also have Polyamorous, which is the big single, the big song on the album, and definitely another highlight on the album for me. Definitely a song that definitely really goes hard, especially in the riff department. But yeah, that was the lead-off single for the album, and commercially did fairly well for the band too. And the band's intention was to have Medicate be the second single, but their studio wanted to do Skin next, and eventually Skin turned out to be the second single. And I think Medicate is a better song, but I do like Skin though. I do like that song though, but again, I think Medicate would have been a better next single or follow-up single. But Medicate, either way, definitely a pretty good song. Natural Life, I really like that song. Some of the bass work kind of reminds me of Tool a little bit. Next to Nothing is another highlight for me on the album. I really like Ben's vocals in that song especially, such as in the chorus. But I think you get some pretty good deep cuts in the album too, like Sugarcoat, which is one of the heavier songs on the album, and Water is another highlight for me when it comes to their deeper cuts. But yeah, Saturate all around, definitely a really good album, definitely a strong debut for the band in my opinion. But now let's go ahead and move on to 3 Days Grace with their self-titled debut. Crazy to think that I've been listening to this album for a little over a decade, and I still enjoy it all these years later. So many great songs, and I'm definitely happy that I finally got a chance to meet Adam Gontier earlier this year and got him to sign my copies of these CDs here. But yeah, with this album, I mean, this is my second favorite 3 Days Grace album, but of course you have some bigger songs for them, like I Hate Everything About You, which is definitely the big song on the album, but they also had some success with Just Like You and Home, of course. Home is a song that I've grown to love more and more, especially after seeing them live twice this year. I definitely love this song much more. I mean, of course, I've always really liked it, always been one of my favorites on the album, but I love it even more now, especially after hearing that song live. It's like definitely really awesome. And Burn, I think, is kind of an underrated song for them, is the album opener for this album, and I personally really dig it. But just like with Saturate, I think this album also has some really good deep cuts, like Born Like This and Drown. Drown being a top 20 3 Days Grace song for me. I absolutely love that song. Not talked about as much as some of the other songs on the album, but I personally really dig it. Musically, I like what they're doing in Let You Down. I really like that song. And of course, Adam Gontier, of course, no surprise, also sounds really great throughout the album, especially in certain songs like Take Me Under and I Hate Everything About You, Home, and some others, of course. But yeah, all around, another really great, strong debut album. And I think the album closer, Overrated, is also one of the band's best album closers in my opinion. But all around, really great stuff. But yeah, if I were to pick which album would win for this versus video, I'm probably gonna have to go with 3 Days Grace's self-titled. But again, I do still really like Saturate, but the reason I go with 3 Days Grace on this one is because if I were to listen to these albums front to back, I think I would probably skip less songs on the 3 Days Grace album rather than Saturate. But then again, both albums don't have any bad songs, at least in my opinion. But of course, like with any album, these albums do have songs that are stronger than others. But again, if I were to listen to these albums front to back, I'd probably more likely reach for 3 Days Grace first, or reach for that one more often. But also, I feel like the 3 Days Grace album has more impressive highs, but at the same time, Saturate has some really good high notes, high points too, like Polyamorous, Wish I May, and Natural Life. But again, gonna have to go with this album for this video. And yeah, if you haven't listened to these albums in a long while, definitely give them another listen. And if you somehow haven't heard these albums, then of course, definitely check them out. But anyways, that is the album that I'll be going for this video. But let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on my pick here for this video. Let me know which album you like more, Saturate or 3 Days Grace self-titled. Let me know some of your favorite or least favorite songs from these albums. Let me know if you have any special memories with these albums too, and all that good stuff. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment and a like, subscribe. Have a nice day, and take care.